So when you get into that word move, what's happening, what eyes do, eyes interfaces information.
Right.
And light is coding, right? Anything that you're able to see, you're gathering information about, or you're aware of what you don't know when you do see it, right? So this is the important things, because it is encoding you. It's sending encoded information to you. And some of the information is hidden. It's hidden. It's hidden like a sigil, right? You might not be able to read it, but it has made an impression. It has made a picture. It has made a mark upon you,
Right.
right? This is why it's called television programming,
Television.
because it's programming you,
Television.
right? But what is code? Right. We talked about the word code just a second ago. Well, what is a code? A code is a system of rules, a system of principles, signals, symbols. That's what a code is. That's what a code, and it's used for communication. So it's a system of pictures, rules, principles, signals that are used for information. Like we can develop our own code by the way we talk. We can develop our own codes with our hand signs. We can develop our own codes. So all of light has a coding. All light has a coding, a system or a way that it gives off information. You see what I'm saying? So they're coding light in a particular way, right? In a systematic way in order to influence you to a certain degree, right? Most people don't know how coding works. Most people don't know how networks work. Most people, and when you get into that type of talk, most people think that that's tech talk, but that's really spiritual talk. Technology that man makes is all based off of the premises of spiritual things, whether that be righteous or unrighteous things. All of our technology at its root is based off of something spiritual, spiritual principles, spiritual signals, spiritual symbols, spiritual understandings of things, right? And it's all based off of this. So when you're getting into movies, when you're getting into these moving pictures, you got to realize that there's not one that you've never seen in your life that wasn't coded, that didn't have a system of rules and principles that it based itself upon. Now, you call that the narrative. Sometimes you call that the narrative. The narrative is the code. You see what I'm saying? But sometimes the code is a little more clandestine. Sometimes it's a little more hidden. And you're not picking up on the code. You see? But it's there. And that's why you have to use your discernment. Like Faise say, I only watch horror movies.
I don't watch no
hell, I barely watch movies. The fuck we talk about? I barely watch TV because I already know it's coded. You know what I'm saying? But Faise was talking about a powerful point just a second ago before the last live ended. For those of you who just came into the room, he was talking about Yeshua and how everyone talks about being taken up, and how most people never talk about being taken down.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of fighting demons.
Now, I want. Are you there, Faise?
Yeah, right here.
Oh yeah, man. Go ahead and continue your point because you were on a powerful one. And Mojo Mama, let me know if you're not getting the request. Fill me in. Let me know what's up.
The fact.
Oh, there she goes.
Where am I at? Who is up there?
That's me.
Faise is up here.
The same people.
Goddess is back up here. Same people. You can't see?
How am I up here and 4 people is up here?
Yeah, 4 people here. Drop down. I'll bring you right back up. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get some straightening. We're gonna get some straightening. Yeah, just drop down. I'll bring you right back up and see if that helps. Refresh your screen. Close the app and then open it back up. And when you come back in the room, I'll let you back in. But go ahead, Faise.
Where we at with it?
Well, you were at talking about going down.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people want to speak on the heavenly experiences. It's interesting because everything we talking about, I got a book coming called How Did He Die? Right. I spoke on all of this in the book, that you got people who I called in the book miragers, right? the ones who are the Miragers, they want to be the chosen ones, right? It's like they want the glory of what they think it means to be chosen. You feel what I'm saying? And it was the same conversation when Ye was out doing his runs, his press runs, where he was speaking about who the chosen ones are, and the Hebrew Israelites felt revitalized because they're like, okay, he's finally talking about what we've been talking about. And the Christians were like, no, he's talking about what we talk about. Everybody wanted to be a part of the conversation, including the conscious community, who don't even believe in the books. So I'm asking the conscious community, where y'all getting this chosen one concept from or precept from? And y'all don't even read the books. Just wanted to be a part of the conversation, which I understand. Nobody wants to be left out. And at that same point, nobody wants to be left behind. So people think chosen means special. People think chosen means, you know what I'm saying, they're selected for some grand purpose, but also ultimately it means they won't be destroyed. And that's not the case. You understand? Because oftentimes the chosen are destroyed. Oftentimes the chosen do perish, and they didn't read the book enough. So they thinking, oh, we're the chosen ones. They out here going on these tours, all kind of stuff. And interestingly enough, the same ones who are doing that, they cave under the pressure. And it's like they're not even being put under a lot of pressure. They're being put under a little pressure. A little pressure is just, oh, they got a little following that came up on them, you know what I'm saying? Or they done reached a little money amount. And next thing you know, they dancing around with the same Hollywood that they were talking against. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, they're trying to get a seat at the table that they were saying they wanted to be away from. Well, that wasn't hard. Why? Because they had no shepherd, for one. Right? Because when the Lord is your shepherd, you shall not want. Everybody should understand that. It's a prayer that they gave you when you was like 3 years old and you could finally understand English. Right? The Lord is your shepherd. I shall not want for anything. I'll lack nothing. What does that mean, though? What does it mean he restores my soul? You know what I'm saying? What does it mean when you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death and you will fear no evil? They were teaching people about desire, right? And desire brought you to a word, desher, right? Which was desert. And when you're in that desert place, okay, and you're walking what appears to be alone, if you remember the footprints in the sand poem, okay, when you're walking what appears to be by yourself, okay, when you're overwhelmed by your desire, you're going to fade away. You understand? You're going to be one of the ones who look to the oasis that appears to be an oasis, which is really just hazing heat. And people walk up to it and they stray off of the path and they try to get that water and it wasn't water. Do you understand what I'm explaining to you? My point is this. A lot of people want the glory that comes with it. The apparent is not that it's actually glorified. They want the apparent glory that comes with not just being the chosen ones. Some niggas stepped up like they were the chosen one. You know what I'm saying? They took the S off of it. They said, I am the chosen one. You know what I'm saying? Niggas like, what do you call it? Nature Boy was saying he was the Christ. And, you know, it's really what was already written. And it's almost as if it's a comedy show we're watching, because how do you know that it's already written that there will be false prophets? It's already written there will be many who will rise up in the name and say, I am Christ, right? How do you know that and still fall for the buck? You understand? And still do it, right? It's because of their wants. It's because of their desires. It's having to let go of your wants. Turmoil that comes with being chosen, right? People forget this part. All of you chosen ones, you better not forget it. He said, take up your cross and walk with me, right? And all the disciples took up their cross and walked with him, except when it was time to actually go on that cross. You understand? And then they fled. You understand? They didn't stay. Nobody didn't say, hey, put me on the cross too, like my shepherd is on. Go ahead.
They're saying you gotta want to die. I mean, you gotta be willing to die for it.
The moment you take up your cross, you die. That's why he was explaining. He said, yo, anybody who loses their life to find me, you know what I'm saying, you'll be blessed. You'll get your reward. Anybody who, you know what I'm saying, loses me to find, you know what I'm saying, their life, then you're going to get your reward too. What they were working on explaining is, what is it that, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? How you gonna go back to Shaitan? Like when Lil Baby was like in the Forever song, if I sell my soul, I'll take it back, I'm slime forever. And I had to remind him that you will do no such thing. Once they have you, what can you give these beings who don't need anything about the realm? It's like somebody from a video game that you created, right? Reaching toward the screen and trying to hand you a video game dollar. What do they need in this realm? You know what I'm saying? They don't need anything. You're players to them. That's why I told people, get off of the chessboard. So the point about the lower realms, right, is not all glory. When you go down into these places and they show you hell and they show you the people who are there, and you hear their voices, and you start realizing what rain dance really meant, and you start understanding, wait a minute, I've been fooled. And what type of pride goes away or ego goes away when you try to fight a demon when you're in sleep paralysis and you can't do nothing about it? You're trying to fight it, and the only way to fight this demon is to not be in this sleep paralysis anymore. You understand? That's when you start understanding who the shepherds are. If you have help, you better call on them. And if you can't call on help and you're not the motherfucker who can help, okay, well, then you're in a deeper problem. So I'll leave you with this. Everybody wants to be chosen. Nobody wants to end up on that cross, right? But the chosen ones already put themselves on the cross. Remember, it was Isa, Jesus, one of the main chosen ones, who was saying, my life is mine to lay down and take up. You know what I'm saying? You don't kill us. And know this, as the ones who want to be prophets fear death, right? Know that the prophets don't see death. This is something else that was written. He said, don't ever say that our prophets have died. They've been taken up. You don't know it. You don't understand it. But don't ever say the ones who really incarnates is what they're trying to say. Avatara is the word meaning to descend into the human body. You can't actually kill that being. The moment that you turn the car off, right? Let's say you take somebody's battery out of their car. You didn't take their heart out of their body. You understand? So a lot of people want the job. They don't want what comes with that job. And a part of it is sometimes.
Please don't leave.
Huh?
I said, please don't leave yet, because I want to tell you you're actually telling the truth. Because when I got taken up, Mama explained to me that I was, because everything you become aware of everything all at the same time. Everything you did leading up to that moment all makes sense if you followed the path of righteousness. So in that awareness, she explained to me that all that time I was dead with a heart. That's so crazy that you said that, because she explained to me that I was dead with a heart. And she made me understand then why I was treated the way I was treated, or why I used to be self-conscious of why people looked at me the way they looked at me. I was like, oh wow, I was literally a shiny dead person until then, where my heart rejoined with my full heart, if that makes sense.
It does. I spoke about that in the book. It's like the realm is saying a W book, because I literally said people have died, right, while they've been alive. Saying I did. I don't know about everybody else and being a saint, but one thing about
Facts,
me,
bro,
right, is I've died a lot of times. You understand? I just got through coming back to life. You know what I mean? I've died plenty
bro,
times.
talk about
And
it. Facts. Me too. Welcome
Is
back,
that killing
bro.
your ego? Is that the death that is
no,
killing your ego?
No.
it's
You should never kill your
no. You
ego.
listen. Let me answer. Then you answer. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Because what is your ego without the breath of life? You understand? Okay, I'll put it to you like this. All four of us who are in these rectangles, right, forming this cross, we all have to transition one day. And one of the things that I feel was a very important part of the book of Isaiah, right, which is what I also put in the book that I'm writing now, How Did He Die, is Isaiah chapter 14. And Isaiah chapter 14 isn't about Iblis alone. It's not about the devil alone. It's not about Shaitan alone. It's about each and every one of you, right? When they say, Lucifer, how art thou fallen, right? All the things you said you were, what happened? Look at you. You were this great God. You were, you know what I'm saying, omnipotent. You were powerful, but now the worms claim you. The worms, you know what I'm saying, are wiggling over you. How did you, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the whole, if y'all haven't read the book of Isaiah chapter 14, go read it, because it's basically challenging those who claim that they're God. Because remember, Isaiah was saying that this man who was the devil was going to build his kingdom and his throne above God's, right? Ego is another way of saying pride. They have
Right.
Right.
multiple multiple different meanings, but when people are saying ego, what they're trying to say is pride. And the reason why they're trying, you with me?
Exactly.
And the reason why I would say, let me answer it first, and then you build on what ego truly is, right? What they're trying to say is pride. If you don't lose your pride, pride is saying you're attempting to obtain something that you really can't obtain and haven't attained. You understand? So what Lucifer's problem was is, how are you going to obtain being the most high when the most high is saying the highest? There is nothing that is going to be higher than that. And how would you say you're going to go above what is the highest? You understand? And so he failed. The one who is, why we asked, is this the man? That's what he said was going to happen. And it did happen, by the way. Is this the man who caused the kingdoms to tremble or to shake? Another thing that'll be interesting to you is that Diddy's name, right, aligns with the word diddle, right? And the word diddle means to not only trick, what we spoke about in Revelation chapter 12, that the one who was called the devil would deceive or trick the whole world. Diddle also meant to tremble or to shake, right? So Diddy caused the whole world to shake, right? The devil, there's other devils that are with him. The dragon called Drake, right? They called a lot of different beings. Notice that Diddy was calling himself a bad boy. He was one of the bad boys, not one of the good ones. And his last name was Combs. So he had Sean. The word Sean was also the word Sion, right? And the word Sion literally meant to look and behold. And in the book of Isaiah, they said, we're going to look narrowly, gaze narrowly at this demon or this devil and say, is this the man who caused kingdoms to shake? And his name means that. Diddle also means to shake or to tremble. They said tremble also. What's my point? My point is, when you're dealing with these different types of people, right, or beings who want to reach these levels, they want the glory of the level, but they don't want the persecution that comes with achieving that type of glory that they see as glory. So what will they do? They will take the easy way out. Unfortunately for you chosen ones, right, when they do that, people look at what you're doing and they start associating what you're doing with what they're doing. The easy way out is NLE Chopper, right? NLE Chopper claiming for like 7 days and a half that he was woke and conscious, and you know what I'm saying, the chakra thing and all this other stuff. Next thing you know, he's making songs like if he was a bad bee, he would such and such himself too. You with me? Okay, and he had Sukiyana the Goat and Sexy Red on their hands and knees, walking them like dogs. That's the easy way out. And then people start saying, wait a minute, is this the conscious community? No, that's the conscious community. The con man, right? And then they are the ones like Rail Chosen and the rest of them that who was running with them. They're calling themselves the chosen ones. So then that frequency, when people want to come in and, oh, I want to be a part of the chosen conversation, unless they're able to access that green light or the true light, what will they think it means to be chosen? Now there's a whole movement saying, you can't contain me anymore. Don't tell me what it means to be spiritual. What they're really trying to say is the same thing that the people who are part of the Islam religion or Christianity religion was saying, is we don't want to follow the rules. We don't want order anymore. You're telling me if I'm spiritual, I shouldn't be in a strip club. I want to be in a strip club. You're telling me if I'm spiritual, I shouldn't be selling drugs or doing drugs. I want to do drugs. That's what they're really doing. They always want to put up a war against order. You know what I'm saying? But they don't want to put up a war or continue the war against disorder. Why? Because the many are in disorder or disarray. They're going against Ray or Ra, the sun. But the few are aligned with
I
it.
feel uncomfortable. I feel there, and I live in Atlanta, but I always feel very uncomfortable being in a strip club, no matter who I'm with. I do not like being.
You don't like the chicken wings?
That's
No, I'm just
what
kidding.
they say. Go for the food. I just feel so uncomfortable. I feel out of place when I'm in there around all them naked women. Like, I don't know why I'm like that. I just don't feel right being in there.
Because you don't belong.
But let me tell you this. If anybody tell you they spiritual, I don't care if you're spiritual. What spirit is governing you? Yes, you're spiritual, but what spirit is governing you? It doesn't matter. And when Faith talked about the pride, 16 does God hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud person is one of those things that the Lord doth hate. You see what I'm saying? But when we're talking about ego, people make ego synonymous with pride, but that's not what ego is. Ego is the sense of self. Ego shouldn't be killed. Ego should be upgraded. Your sense of self should not just be relegated to your physical being. Your sense of self should encapsulate the all. You should be able to feel the all and feel connected to the all. So the ego should be upgraded. You get what I'm saying? To the degree to where you understand what self is, that the self is an aspect of the all. You see what I'm saying? So when you're looking at ego from the sense of pride, of course you should not have pride to that degree, because a proud look and things of that nature is despised by God. You get what I'm saying? That's an abomination to God. But when you're talking about ego, which is your sense of self, your sense of self should just not be relegated to just your physical being. Your sense of self should extend. When I see Faise, I should see myself. When I see the goddesses, I should see myself. When I see a nigga on the street, I should see a reflection of myself. You get what I'm saying? But most people haven't upgraded their ego to that capacity. You get what I'm saying? They're not in that space because they haven't gained the knowledge and the wisdom of this teaching. So the ego should not be killed. The ego should be upgraded. You get what I'm saying? And I know that's a part of the conscious community to talk about ego death. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not big on that. Just like I talked about shadow work. And I gave you guys the interpretation of what true shadow work is. There's no such thing as shadow work. There's only light work.
Right.
Light controls the shadow. The position of the light, how it moves on the object, controls the shadow. So if I really want to do shadow work, that means that's how I work with the light. You understand? So yeah, that's just what I'll say about ego death.
I
You
want
get
to
what I'm
push
saying? I'm not a
idea
big
out
fan
there,
of.
right? And this is from that level.
Mm-hmm.
Do they think, because again, we already went over how they want to be one of us, right? But they don't know what we have to endure. You know what I mean? Listen, Dr. Melakazi York,
Yeah.
and I will say that name every time I can, right? Has been in prison for 22 years in the belly of the beast, right? Everybody wanted to be him, but they didn't want the fate that came with it, right? But each and every one of them that tried to step up like they were him, they getting hit with the same type of fate, the same type of program, right? And it's almost like in the Book of Clarence movie. You understand, where everybody was trying to act like they was the Messiah, and they said that they had a literal order to go out and capture or kill all the false messiahs, right? So what's my point here? People want to beef with the devil, don't even know what we fighting about. People want to war with Lucifer. This don't have anything to do with you. Let me ask a question. Do you think we didn't cry when our brother fell? Do you think that human beings were the first ones to cry? We cried when our brother fell. And some of us cried before the war began because we knew he was going to fall. You know what I mean? Lucifer was one of the beloved ones because of his ability to cipher, right? And yes, all of us were musical. And when we talk about cipher now, a cipher is niggas coming together and rap and break stuff down. And when you cipher something in real life, to cipher or cipher, like the literal holy books are called ciphers, all right? It's the same thing to say cipher. It's saying let's go back down from 9 all the way down to 0, which is sifu, or sifur, which means literally 0, right? So he's saying cipher, Lou Cipher was able to break down light like not any of the other people, you understand, who were in those abodes. So when that happened and Lucifer fell, right, it was a sad moment. And people don't understand that. So you're starting in on a team and you don't know why this war began. My point is this. You may not know that you can fall just like Lucifer fell if you don't know how Lucifer fell. So that's why it is not the conscious community, by the way. They're one of the ones who saying, no, don't kill the ego. The conscious community is saying, don't kill the ego. The conscious community is saying, yo, I'm God. The conscious community is doing all of this, and each and every one of them is going to be maggot food one day. You understand?
I tell them this. Okay. I tell them this, Faise. You're part of the conscious community. What are you conscious of? Y'all are part of it. What are y'all conscious of?
The ones who are in that community.
What criteria is it to become? Yeah. What is the criteria to be a part of the conscious community?
Right. That's what they're worried about right now. So here's what happened. We told them they were a religion. They didn't want to believe they were a religion at first. Now they're understanding that how much of a religion they are when people who are a part of their community step outside of the bounds of what they feel spirituality is supposed to consist of, right? That's a religion. So now those same people are saying, no, we're not a part of this no more. We get to do it how we want to do it. So they went from Christianity to spirituality, which was less rules, right? Less discipline, to now they don't even want to be spiritual. Just let me tell you what you want to be. You want to be a part of the world, and it pains you to say it. So you put it on all these different, I'm a chief. You put it on all these different, look at my feathers on my head. You put it on all these other, look at my dashiki. I got copper around my eye. Listen, you want to be a part of the world. I'm helping you out for all those who are struggling with this. But you don't have the gall to say it, right? So
I say.
you don't want to be you don't want to be persecuted by your own for turning on something that they don't even practice, right? When in all actuality, the only reason why they'll stone you is because they themselves don't have the gall to just say, I want to be a part of the world. So we've lost a lot of people that way. That's why I said you need to go, the spiritual community, conscious community, you need to go back to square one. Your square one was the religion you were given the moment you were able to realize what religion is. You understand? That's your square one. Why do you need to go back to it? Because you don't know the religions of the people that you claim you want to raise up, which means you're losing so many battles at once. I can't even keep up with all the cards. You want to wake people up. You're the chosen ones. You're supposed to wake people up. You don't know that the chosen ones is a religious conversation. You don't know it's a religious concept. You want to wake religious people up, and you don't know their books. You don't know their customs. You don't know their traditions. And the sister in the bottom left mentioned God, and you have people on here talking about who is God? Describe God. Imagine talking to somebody, and every word they say, just because you think you're so beyond them, you have to question every word they say. You have to dissect every word they say. How will you ever have a conversation with them to be able to raise them up?
Well, for me, if a person asks me who is God, I realize they are not conscious.
Right.
No. Let me change that. You can be conscious, but you're not aware. And there's a difference between consciousness and awareness. Now the spiritual community will make these words synonymous. You'll say that these words are synonymous. Well, let me give you a difference between consciousness and awareness. Are you conscious you're in your room right now? Yes. But are you aware of the fly on the wall? No. If you can understand that concept, you've just reached a new level of understanding consciousness and
Here's
awareness.
how you test them. Ask them to pray with you.
Oh yeah.
Listen,
We
I'm
talked
telling
about this
y'all,
earlier,
it's getting
especially
so simple now because
when it comes
we
to
in that
demons.
hour. You
Yeah.
should know that. We're in that
Yeah.
hour. It's getting so simple now. If you want to test spirits, just use Jesus. It's so simple now.
Listen,
All the deep stuff, I grew up in it. We done with all that. It's so
Faise.
simple now. Ask somebody to pray with you or for you and watch their responses, and that'll let you know whether or not you should.
Hevy said one day he wanted to ground us into the basics and decided expertly to go to the 10 Commandments, bro. Hevy, did you ever finish the 10 Commandments? Where did you get stuck in the 10 Commandments?
I probably got on commandment number goddamn 6.
He said honor the father and the mother. Bro, the comments went wild. You seen the brain explosion emojis. Bro, the glitching that happened in that live. We never finished the 10 Commandments, bro.
Yeah, they're not ready. Like I told people this earlier. I'm back on the fundamentals because I realize that most of y'all foundations are shaky. Many of you've gotten so heavenly minded you're no earthly good. You've gotten so ethereal that you can't materialize anything. You've gotten to a space in your journey to where you've gained so much information and you know nothing. This is where you are. And I'm aware of this because you don't understand the basics. You don't understand the basics. You're a part of the conscious community, but what are you conscious of? You're so spiritual, but what spirit is guiding you? I keep saying this over and over again because many of our people are lost. Many of you have been turned over to a reprobate mind. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Many of you are wayward. You have been swayed. You're tossed to and fro with every trend. Every new thing people say, you on that
Yep.
trend. Everything somebody says is cool, you on that. You see what I'm saying? But you've lost your way.
Yep.
You've lost your way.
You can't be
It's an interesting.
hopscotching with spirituality. Wow.
It's an interesting thing where I spoke about the ancestors thing recently on my page. I'm like, yo, all this the ancestor stuff is fake. They can cut it out, right? Everybody doesn't have the
That's
same. Everybody
necromancy.
doesn't have the same ancestors. That's just simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everybody doesn't have this. And I even made a joke, but I was so for real. Y'all telling people to call on the ancestors for help. What if they ancestors was the conquistadors? What if they ancestors was Christopher Columbus and them
Yo,
people? What if they
your
Right.
ancestor was a lion slave named
And you got to bring
Jebediah
them back,
who
and
used,
or
you know they
listen,
who
or a
deceased.
used to
slave
steal.
master? I don't know if people understand this, right? Just because you're looking at somebody and they're a melanin dominant person today, it doesn't mean that all their ancestors were.
Right.
You understand? So it's so easy to see beyond the illusions where if you look at people's talking points, you understand the science that they're not considering. How are we all God's children if the same conversation of God's children in the book says that they're children of the devil? How are we all descendants of Eve and it said the serpent was going to have a seed? You understand? So when you really speak about all of this consciousness, if you're not able to, like the brother saying, go to the fundamentals, then how can you actually evolve? So here, I don't just teach people stuff. I tell people stuff to do to find out where you at. I'm telling you where we at.
Mm-hmm.
It's this simple, right? How you say you don't like going to the strip club? Okay, ask the people who want to go to the strip club with you and all this other stuff. Ask them to come to church with you. Just ask them to go to church, right? It don't mean you have to actually be going. I'm just telling you to ask them to go
But let me
to
say
church
this.
with
Let
you.
me say this. So again, I grew up in the church and I believed in God. But when I started researching all this stuff about, where people come from and who was the first people on earth, and in the Bible, it basically says that Jesus is black, but we're being shown all these white pictures of Jesus. So it's like, I don't know. Jesus could be a real person, but the person that they're trying to tell us that he is not who he is.
That yeah, that
So,
I didn't say.
Wait a
so
minute. So, wait a minute.
wait.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Let
Time
me
out.
just say
So, so in your church, I just want to ask you, sister. I just want to ask you. In your church, they told you Jesus was a white man.
no, in my church, we didn't have pictures of Jesus. They didn't say, but no, he used to say, feet of brass, hair like wool. That's a black person to me. So when I started, to me, I felt like, okay, the King James Version, they say it was
We
written
have
by
my
a gay
charger.
man. That Bible has been
Very well.
rewritten so many different times. So it's like, what do you
On the
believe?
table.
So when I got on my journey and I started researching all these things, it's like, yeah, I still believe in God. I still believe in a higher power. I still pray. But the Jesus aspect of him being white, I don't believe in no white Jesus. Now, the black person that was in that Bible, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So now when I pray, because Christians feel like you have to go through Jesus to get to God. Other religions don't feel like that. They feel like you can go directly to the source. So now when I pray, I don't really speak on the whole Jesus thing. I just say, thank you, God, amen, vice versa. But it's, again, I don't know everything. I haven't read the Bible front to back. I grew up in church. I've read verses. There are some verses that I do know. My grandma, my uncle, they're preachers. But I'm still trying to figure it out because, again, I don't know everything, but I do know that Bible has been rewritten many times. So
Look. Check
I
this out,
don't
right?
take
Check
it
this out.
literally.
Notice all I said was you ain't even gotta be going to church. Just tell them that you're going and see how they respond.
See, this group of people that I talk to, because I'm not gonna lie, this group of people that I talk to now, they're more for doing Bible study and doing group studies or whatever like that. But when they mention going to church, I ain't gonna lie, I'm the type of person, I don't want to go to church. I feel like the church is in me. Like, I can read the Bible at home and get an understanding, or I can watch a live or something like that instead of going
Or
into
you can go to church.
somebody's somebody's building. But I still go to church. Like, for example, if I go see my mom for a holiday and I'm gonna go to church with my mom, or if I go back home, sometimes I'm led because I used to sing in the choir. So I still listen to gospel music. So when I'm back home, I be wanting to go like to church to see my church family, to see the preacher and stuff. It's just certain things, preachers have to go to school to be a preacher. You have to search. You have to
This
teach
is why we was saying, really going on with you. You're the will of God. What you need to do is ground yourself to figure out how they merge and if they're real and if they're yours and what is yours. And from that, you build your temple. Until you can identify those simple, basic things, you're going to be scattered, like Jesus said, like the sheep without a shepherd. In
I
order
remember being in church
to
and a
be an
preacher.
effective,
I remember being in church when I was in church, even after my mom stopped going to that church, and he always would say, don't take my word for it. Get your own understanding. And there has been times where I've read a verse multiple times, and maybe on the fifth or sixth time, I understood, what it was saying. Like I had to go over it over and over and over again. So for me, I don't feel like just because I'm not going to church or I'm not speaking on Jesus that, I'm not on the right path or I'm not going to be blessed. I still believe in God. I still believe in prayer. Like that's still a part of me. That's really church is really all I knew or all I know because that was my whole life. It's just that the path that I'm taking, I don't feel like I gotta go to church Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Bible study. I don't feel like I gotta do that in order to progress in life.
So check this out. Let me say this to you. If they were, because they can, if they open the door for you to see hell, you wouldn't lead a church. If they opened the door for you, right? Okay, there's this person who was, I don't remember what the nigga name was, 3-6 Mafia, right? One of them niggas from 3-6 Mafia. I can't, who, what's some 3-6 Mafia names, Hevy?
Crunchy Black. What's his name? Dang, Paul, DJ Paul. What's his name?
Who the nigga who had
Paul.
died and
Yeah.
said he went to hell? Or if you ain't never heard of that, it was another one though. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he just
might
came
have
out
been.
with an album.
Was it
I know.
Infamous?
Was
Either
it?
way, I
No,
don't
I
want to
wasn't
get lost
thinking
in the
Infamous.
weeds.
I'm thinking of
So I can't remember
what's
right
the
now.
nigga
Somebody
name?
look it up for me.
DJ
Yeah,
whatever.
somebody look it up.
DJ Paul, Juicy
My
J.
point is this: he described being in hell, right, and
Juicy
going
J.
through
Yeah.
all of what he was going through
Yeah, Juicy
in
J. Yeah.
hell, right? My point is this: if God appeared to you, however that might have manifested in your reality, and asked you if you felt yourself you were ready to go, meaning if they were to take you from this vessel right now, listen, just based off of the direction of your sight right now, right? You already looking through your life, and they haven't even asked you that. So you already know where this will be going, right? The only thing is people don't know that the time they think they have, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a vocal fast for a while, but I was still able to communicate an idea that people are already in hell because
I was just gonna say that hell on earth, right?
no, I mean hell as in their soul and their body are two different things. Your soul and your body are two different things, right? So right now I'm looking at you, I see your body, I see Hevy, I see the body, right?
But my spirit.
The soul is something totally different from that. The disc that's recording all of your deeds is not what I'm looking at right now. You understand? My point is this. You might be surprised to find out I'm not a Christian. The same way when the Muslims, after a while, they realize I'm not a Muslim, they get a little surprised, right? I'll talk to a Buddhist, they realize I'm not a Buddhist, they'll get surprised. I'm reminding them of the same thing that they should have been reminded about and have been reminded about. Everything you're saying going to do, there will come. They got out on the highway, they were listening to their favorite song, They might have just rolled themselves a blunt. They vibing out. They didn't see the 18-wheeler come. You understand? As they was crossing over the intersection, getting off the highway. They didn't see that. They wouldn't have seen that. Next thing they know, they're in Judgment Day. And there is no wait, I'm gonna go back. Wait, I didn't think about this. Right? There's a video game. Over. You with me? And it's gonna be a brighter side to this. There's a video game, God of War, where the nigga would die and the dark hands would reach up and grab his body or his soul and take him down into the darker worlds. My point is this: if y'all really knew what time you were in, you would be in somebody's church, you would be in somebody's temple, you would be in somebody's prayer circle, or your home would be one. If you really knew. But people don't know what day and time they're in. Everybody has their day, is all I'm gonna say. So if you feel you still have time, you don't, because it's only a matter of time.
It's not promised for any of us. Like, you never know the day or time.
Right. Do you feel like you live in the right way?
I feel like I feel like I am living the right way. Could I do better? Yes.
Okay.
I feel like my issue for me is not being a bad person or doing anybody wrong. I don't have any type of ill intent or any of that. I feel like I can procrastinate and I can be a bit lazy when it comes to handling things at certain times. But for the most part, I honestly... So I sometimes feel like there's heaven and hell on earth, because all the stuff that we're experiencing here, and then, you know, like they say, the stuff that's in the book of Revelations is coming to pass or is happening. So we don't know the day or time. My kid's dad just got killed 2 years ago. After experiencing that, it's just like you don't know what's going to happen. Tomorrow's not promised. So I just live.
So you believe that book of Revelations?
I believe the Bible. You can't take it literally, but it does have a message.
So how would you take that Jesus that it refers to?
Well, I feel like all the people in the Bible are characters, and that Jesus was an actual character in the Bible. But for the people that wrote, okay, so for King James to be a gay man, and for the Bible to be rewritten so many times, and the messages that they're giving us on the way that it's written, they're not being straightforward. That's how I feel. I feel like it has to really be broken down for you to understand it.
Okay, so you can go before the King James Version, because you are aware that there were versions like before the King James. Even in the Torah, but just the Bible and its compilation, you have things that were written before a King James Version. The King James Version doesn't come about till the 1600s. But before that, you have the original Bible, the Codex Sinaitica. You have the Geneva Bible. You have many other Bibles that were written before the King James, but they're all talking. But Jesus is included in all of those books.
Let me give it something real quick. Let me say something real quick, right?
Jesus was actually a kid, but the person in the Bible that they're trying to, the Bible says pretty much it's a black person, but they're showing us, I should say, they're showing us that it's a white person.
Don't have nothing to do with them. They can show you a purple person. It don't have nothing to do with them. Who is they?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If it's already written, okay, let's say it was me. Let's just put it out there. Let's say I was this reincarnated being. I didn't have to incarnate into a melanin dominant vessel. I could have came into a mongoloid vessel, or I could have come into a caucasoid vessel, right? If you're speaking about an incarnation, but let's say a group of extraterrestrials pull up on a craft and they come off of it and they say, yo, what's up? Let's go. And they start calling all the names, right? Would you be able to identify those beings as this Jesus being that you're speaking about? And I'm asking it that way for a reason, because certain movies they'll show you, like the movie Knowing or the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there's always some type of, or even in the movie E.T., there's always some type of allusion to telepathic abilities, right? People say, I hear the voice of God. You ask them, yo, explain how you're hearing that. And they're not really able to explain it other than to say it's a voice inside. Right. Well, if they're truly hearing the voice of God, then somebody's speaking to them telepathically.
Okay.
You understand? Sending them messages to their brain. If you don't know who these beings are right now, then all you have is belief, right? This is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what they paint them to be. Do those beings still fly around in chariots? That's what the book said they do. Do they still take people up and show them things about the realm they're in? That's what the book says they'll do, right? Do they still come through and drop bombs? That's what the book says they do, right? Do they still intervene with war? It's certain things that these people do that have been turned into spirits over time, right? These advanced people do. And one thing they do not do is care about belief. One thing they do not do is care about what people were going to do one day, right? So here's what they're asking. They're asking that you get 144,000 people together, right? That still hasn't happened. The Hebrew Israelites haven't done it. The Catholic Church hasn't done it. The Protestants haven't done it, right? The Muslims haven't done it. 144,000 people has not occurred yet. The Mount Zion occurrence where people are standing on a Mount Zion singing a new song, that hasn't occurred yet. Why would they tell you to get that many people together? Because they wanted a harmonic convergence to appear. Why do they want a harmonic convergence to appear? How will we know you're ready if y'all haven't called us? Right? If I say, yo, I'm about to come pick you up, call me when you're ready, and I never get a call from you, how am I gonna come get you? You understand? I'm not talking about coming to pick your church up off of its ground or foundation. I'm not coming to pick your mosque up. How would I come and get you? Right? So here's what I leave you with. All of you who are chosen, here's the strong reality people may not want to face. The most of you are not actually chosen, right? The ones of you who think
you're frozen.
Yeah, for the most part, the most of you are not actually chosen. It will be your children, right? And a lot of people say, "What about would it?" That's only if you can get your children. We don't have to choose your children. That's what they're saying. They don't have to choose. They don't have to choose your children either. Okay, let's look at Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot and his family, about 7 people got out of Sodom and Gomorrah. The other thousands of people were destroyed. Right? They don't have to choose anybody. If they want to, they can just recreate the human race and start over. They've done it before. Okay? The whole purpose of the Bible is what I'm gonna leave you with, regardless of what they've altered, was to get you to live right. That was the purpose. Why would you need to live right, though? To perfect your genes. The last time we destroyed this place with water, who did we take? We took a being called Noah or Utnapishtim, right? And we said, oh, it's because of his genes being perfect. Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. We said his genes were perfect. He was perfect in his generations. It was a sacred code. Okay, that's a science conversation. In the book of Amos, chapter 9, they say they're going to come through and sift through the nations for the chosen ones. So please tell the Hebrew Israelites they don't have to go around telling people they're chosen anymore, because the book of Amos said the extraterrestrials, the angels, are going to do that. They're going to come through and they will know exactly who they're looking for. And then go ahead.
So I had a dream, maybe like last month, that I guess you can call them extraterrestrials, but they look like us, but you can tell they wasn't us. And they came to Earth, and there was different towns that I ran to. So when they first came to the first town, I was kind of like hiding out, and then I ran like on foot to the next town. When I got to the next town, there was extraterrestrials there, and they was impregnating the women. Then I ran to the next town, and then I met this guy, and then I ended up waking up. This happened recently, and then I don't know if after that, I don't know if y'all heard about in Miami how they were saying that aliens was at the mall, but the police was all out and all of that. Did y'all hear about that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that happened right after that happened.
So
The
real
dream was
quick,
right before that.
the beings that you saw, how they look, or the people that you saw, how they look.
They kind of look like us, but you can tell that they was different. You could tell they wasn't us, but they looked like
taller or shorter than
they
the
was
average person?
taller.
Wow, okay. And they were melanin dominant, brown people.
They was I believe they was dark. It was like most of the times it was during the night, but I could tell that they looked like us, but they wasn't
What color
us.
was their clothing?
I can't remember,
And
honestly.
okay, one more question. Did you see their hair? Did you get a look at their hair?
It was more so just their face and their bodies. I can't really remember all the details about them
Okay.
and how they really look.
So let me tell you something. A lot of people, and by show of emojis, don't troll, all right? By show of emojis, how many people can attest to this? A lot of people are getting those dreams and visions now of tall, dark beings, right? Tall, dark beings, whether it's melanin dominant, black, completely black, right? tall, dark beings are appearing to people. They came to me. It was 3 of them, tall like the size of a 2-story house, right? And they were wearing black. They were men and they had locks, right? So tall, dark beings are showing up in people's dreams, right? Why though? Go back and watch the movie Knowing. They were
I don't watch
wearing
TV.
all black.
No,
Now,
I need to look that up.
You said what?
I don't watch TV, so I need to
No,
look
you
that
got to
up.
watch the movie Knowing. Okay, they got the movie from Dr. Malachi York, but they knew what he was saying was true.
That's Uma's
Yeah,
dad, I
exactly.
believe.
Go watch the movie
her.
Knowing. Go watch the movie Knowing.
Is it
And
on Netflix?
in that, you might be able to find it on YouTube for like $4, $3.99.
Okay, no.
Right.
Okay.
The movie Knowing was based on not just extraterrestrials, but the sun, right? Coronal mass ejections, the sun getting active, and a lot of people don't know that around the same time the movie came out was 2009. All right. They also had another movie called 9 that came out in 2009 on September 9th, 2009, which was 999. And they did that on purpose because Dr. Malachi York put out 999. And they made it all about the green light, okay? Which brings you to not just the conversation of El Qadir, which is why I've been teaching the green light recently, but also the magnetosphere was prophesied to deteriorate around this time period that we're in. And that deterioration just was confirmed not too long ago, less than a month ago, where you saw the aurora lights all over the U.S.
I just seen that. My
Okay.
sister was talking about it in our group chat. I didn't see it personally, but I seen that they was seeing the northern lights.
Yes.
In the States.
You saw the northern lights in the South, and nobody was like, why? They was in Alabama. They was in Mississippi. They was in New York. Nobody said, why? Go ahead, Hevy.
Now, when we get into the magnetosphere, when we truly understand what planets are, this will make sense to us. Because what is the importance of the magnetosphere? Number one, ladies, you should know this, even if the men don't know this. But the magnetosphere also affects the way that babies are formed in your womb. It helps with the forming of the child, even in your womb. You see, the magnetosphere is important. To the ancient Egyptian, the magnetosphere was known as Neith. This is where you get your word net, network. All of these types of things comes from this word, right? The magnetosphere is all that, but our magnetosphere is affected by other planets, especially Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. They play a big role on our magnetosphere. Now, to the ancients, these planets that you know of were known as the gods. That's why they have god names. Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Kronos. They were named after the gods, but in all actuality, they're known as the wanderers. They're the wanderers. They don't follow the same pattern as the rest of the stars. They wander, right? These are the false gods. These aren't the real gods that are affecting our planet. They're affecting our planet in a way that most of you don't understand. This is a part of my book when I get into the stars and the planets and the gods, right? And I really cover this aspect. Many of these beings that some of you guys are seeing, right? They're not your helpers. Many of them aren't your helpers. They're not here to help you. Some of them are. Some are benevolent. Some are malevolent, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of you don't understand that. You don't know what does it mean when Jupiter begins to affect our magnetosphere? What does it mean when Saturn's rings pulsate certain frequencies and pulls at our magnetosphere? What is it doing? How does that affect our bodies? What type of signaling does that bring to our spirit? Many of us aren't aware of this. We're not aware of how the cosmos work because we're not aware of how our own beings are working, right? So it's very important for some of you guys to really sit down and begin to study. I've never read Dr. Malachi Z. York. Never in my life. Never read a book in my life. But I keep coming into people that have that talk a lot about his teachings, and they'll be like, "Well, Heavy, you said that. You ever read Malachi Z. York?" And I'm like, "No, never read him. Never read anything about him." But I do know that whatever he's saying, he must have came to some conclusions about certain things that I've come to the conclusions of. You get what I'm saying? And for me, that I gotta respect, even if I don't know the man. I could never say anything bad about him like I hear most people do, because you have to be a man of a certain level of knowledge to even grasp some of these concepts.
That's what
we got to make sure let's factor this in. Let's factor in that we spoke about prophets, and this wasn't even something that he cared to be called, just like I don't, right? What's happening right now in the world? Dr. Malachi Z. York said what happened in the 70s. In the 70s, he said around this time. Listen, from 1970 up to the year 2030, he wrote the whole plan out. He wrote what was going to happen from the 70s up to 2030 and even beyond, but that's a lot of that hasn't been revealed yet or brought forth. It's in the tribe that's being spoken about. He's yet to be wrong. He's yet to be wrong. And because there are so many books, I'm sure people think that this man spent all this time writing about religion because you didn't get off of Wikipedia. If you would open up one book, you'd be like, wait a minute. You got books like Great Fireballs Cast to the Planet Earth. Yeah, you would think he's only talking about fireballs being cast to the planet Earth because of the title. You know what I mean? You look at the title, a lot of people look at the title and say, oh, Man from Planet Risk. Oh, he's talking about this risky and stuff. He covered all of the quantum stuff, technology, everything that's being produced and presented to the world now. He covered all of that, gave people the documents, all of it. My point is this. The reason why I brought up the tall black beings is because they came to me, not because I researched them. And other people have been speaking about them. And when they came to me in my dream, I'm not saying no astral projection, none of that. It was a dream. They weren't evil beings. So I tied it to the movie Knowing, and there's that movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and there's that movie E.T. It's because Dr. Malachi Z. York had a teaching that was called We Have Our Own Time. He said, I come to some of y'all in dreams. He said, when the time would come, he would be coming to us in dreams. He didn't say, when the time would come, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to do a teaching. He also knew he was going to get arrested, and he knew when it was going to happen. He told people it was going to happen. He told them how they were going to do it, right? The whole game has been being played in front of people. So now we're way beyond the disclosure project. Everybody's talking about extraterrestrials now, which might be the reason. And the oversaturation of it might be the reason why people don't even understand that is being made public knowledge. You understand?
But you know what's so funny? You know what's so funny, Faise? Whenever I hear people talk about extraterrestrials, I realize they don't understand. These beings would not be extraterrestrial. They would be celestial.
That too.
Right? An extraterrestrial, the word terrestrial deals with the earth. It deals with the earth. And an extraterrestrial would be a higher earth being. You get what I'm saying? But when you're talking about these beings that are traveling from interplanetary travel, that would be from a different star system. That would be a celestial. You see what I'm saying?
When they come into Earth, they become extraterrestrials. That's what.
Right.
If you go look up the definition of it, it's when a meteorite can be an extraterrestrial. It doesn't always have to be a conscious living being. You know what I'm saying? That's autonomous. Sometimes it's just a planetoid or spore, right? That can come into the Earth's atmosphere. Sunlight is extraterrestrial, right? Because it's not coming from the Earth. So my point is, you're right. They could be beings coming from other planes, Rainbow City, Shambhala, and Argo. The point is, how many of you started fasting? Now, I'm not talking about people who follow me. I'm talking about just people. Somebody mentioned fasting earlier. How many of y'all have just started fasting? How many people have said, yo, I can't eat this meat no more? How many people
I don't eat pork.
Right.
I'm actually to the
but
point
here's the problem.
where
Here's the problem, Faise.
Hold on, let me get to where I'm going, because it's important, right? Why? Or why is everybody deciding, yo, they put it in the movie, Knowing. The little white boy was like, who was Caleb? He was like, I'm not eating meat anymore, Dad. All of y'all are having a ringing in your ear. Let me tell you why I'm supposed to speak, because you need to hear this. All of you who are having a ringing in your ear, you'll be doing a daily task, and you just stop and you hear the ringing, and you actually look in a direction. You don't notice it, but you look in a direction. You're looking towards something, right? And scientists are still trying to figure out what that is. The closest they got to it is a word called tinnitus, right? But even still, if you research tinnitus, they don't know what that is. You understand? The ringing in your ear. They put it in a movie Knowing. They disguised it as a hearing aid problem that he had. The hearing aid, listen, clairvoyance or clairaudience, the hearing aid issue where he was trying to work with it and it kept ringing in your ear, right? Visions of the beings appearing to you, these extraterrestrial tall beings that I didn't give you, right? You're just having them. The urge to stop eating flesh, the urge to drink more water, the urge to fast, the urge to be out in the sun and just lay out in the sun, right? Here's what I'm telling you. If you're not having these experiences, then you haven't even been looked at as one of the chosen. They ain't even looking at you. If you're having these experiences, then they're choosing you. The only thing that can stop you from being chosen right now is you deciding to not allow for this urge that you're getting or this inclination that you're getting to follow through. If you feel like you're supposed to be becoming more spiritual right now, you are. If you feel like you're supposed to, I tell people, listen, I'm not even religious and I still prostrate. Okay? Whatever you need to do in these days to not hear the noise of the world and to hear God's voice, you better do it. Because all I'm gonna say is this. Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell y'all this: if you're not religious, you ain't gonna make it. And what do I mean by that? Because unless you're doing something religiously, you ain't good at it. You have to do things religiously. You got to do things ritualistically. You get what I'm saying? Most of you ain't fasting; you're just dieting. There's a difference between a diet and a fast. Most of y'all y'all don't know what a fast, because a fast requires more than just the abstaining from something. It's a mindset. It's setting your intentions on something. This is why you abstain from something. You see what I'm saying? So it's not fasting if you just do that. You're just dieting. Congratulations. But at the end of the day, you got to understand really what you're doing. And unless you're doing something religiously, people get out here, they work out religiously. They get out here, they study religiously. They get out here, they do. You have to do it religiously. See, some of y'all have this stigma on this word. You get what I'm saying? Y'all put energy and spookism on things without understanding the interpretation of the thing. You see what I'm saying? Because you've gotten caught up in the dogma of it. You got caught up in the dogma. You see what I'm saying? But not really understanding what it's truly all about. You see what I'm saying? Right. Religio, to bind and to attach. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, at the end of the day, you better do some things religiously. You better.
I feel like I've been doing that since a child. I feel like
let me put this in your ear. How do the crickets sound to y'all now? You know what I mean? And you don't have to really answer it. I'm putting this in your ear. Everything I can. I put the ring in. I talked about the beings, the dreams. Some of y'all been having dreams about meteorites. You don't know why, but you've been seeing civilizations be struck by meteorites. Okay? You don't have to know why right now. You just have to know that. When you walk outside, do you feel not only yourself spaced out, but do you feel that it's a bigger sky than what it used to be? Right? Let me tell you something else. How many of you have actually experienced time slow down? Not time just speed up. How many of y'all been like, wait a minute, it seemed like it should be.
I'm not gonna lie. The other day,
please allow me. Give me 1 minute, hun. Listen, I am currently past the current time frame in terms of what they say. They added a week to me. I was just saying that me and my daughter was saying, like, Ma, wasn't it supposed to be like already the end of May? We're supposed to be in like May 4th or 5th already. I'm like, well, we are ahead of the time, but they have to know how to mediate it. And then I woke up at 3:56 It was 5:56 when I woke up. I'm like, okay, I only have an hour to go back to sleep or whatever, because I usually wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. And I literally seen the time flip back to 3:56 and stay 3:56 until I got tired. I'm like, ain't no way it's supposed to be 3:56 this long. I'm like, this is crazy. So now you're saying this, it's bringing my awareness. I see them do this all the time to me, because I'm like on the natural circadian rhythm of the planet. So when the sun set, I set type of stuff. So I know how to calculate the time. And I'm seeing them literally slow the clock down or add extra time to the calendar to make sense. It's crazy.
Well, some people's time is governed by the rotation of the planet, which appears to them that the sun is moving. That's how some people's time is goes. Some people are on a lunar cycle. Some people are on a celestial cycle with time. Some people's time is based off of their experience. You see what I'm saying? Some people's time, they're on heaven's time, literally. You know, so time is subject to the tool of measurement that you're using. You know, now that tool of measurement could be the planet, like I said, it could be the stars, it could be heaven, it could be your own experiences. But you know what I'm saying? Everyone can view time through different lenses based on what tool you're using to measure time. You know, and some people are using a different ruler. You know what I mean? Based on their experiences and based on their revelations, based on their communion with the Creator. You know, everybody's on different time. You know, and that's typically going back to a prophet. That's what a prophet does. A prophet gets you on the right time. You see what I'm saying? Prophets are meant to put you on the right time. Righteous people are meant to put you on the right time, to get you in the right perspective. You get what I'm saying? So that you're just not operating through life and going willy-nilly, because time could seem long when you're going through torture.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And time can speed up when you're having a good time. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's all relative. You know, time becomes a relative thing at that point. You know what I'm saying?
So here, look what I'm saying. Yeah, even with the relativity, when they mention time speeding up in the biblical scripture, they didn't say and days will be shorter. They said the days will be shortened,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's done intentionally to get your attention. It doesn't happen for everybody. So you're right, relativity. It's done to get your attention. So you'll be having a day, you're like, wait a minute, it's 4 p.m. already? Time will have sped up, right? You'll also be having that same type of day, and you'll be like, wait a minute, it's still 4 p.m.?
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though it should be at least 9 p.m. by now, right? That was them getting your attention. Time to these types of people, right, is just like an element. So all I'm doing is just saying, again, I'm not saying anything. How I know what y'all dreaming about, none of that stuff. I'm just talking from
Making us aware.
Yeah, I already know I'm out of here. That's what I'm saying. And I know to tell people, if you're feeling what you're feeling, stop asking people to confirm it for you and just listen.
You confirm it yourself.
Just listen.
But it's crazy you said that about that time, because I feel like time isn't real. But at the same time, just the other day, it's like a light switch. I was outside, it was bright as hell, and I was driving, and it's like they just flipped the switch and it went to nighttime.
Yeah,
And
they did it with they did it
the
with one of the
sun,
moons.
the sunrise at a certain time. Like I have my Alexa, it tells me, it wakes me up, my watch, my phone. It's all this is on the devices. But I'm outside and I'm driving, and literally it's daylight, and it's and you know how you not paying attention, but if the light cut off, you see that the light cut off. Like you have no choice but to pay attention because the light cut off.
Yeah.
I was driving, and that's exactly what happened. And I was like, now how do they? I take it for what it is, because I already know there's other things going on outside of the norm that a lot of people don't.
Let me give y'all one more thing. I gotta get up out of here, right? Let me give you one more thing, right? Pay attention to when you wake up. Well, actually, two more things. One is when you're just doing your daily tasks and you get the shudder, right? You shudder out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
Shiver?
nobody's around.
Yes.
Yeah, shudder, shiver. You shiver. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really know what it is. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes people are around, sometimes people aren't around. Most of the time they're not. And you'll just shudder all over. And it happens around the neck area, and you just feel it, right? Okay, they trying to touch you. Leave it at the door or take it through there. I'm just putting it out there. One more thing is when you wake up and you look at your wall or you look at your ceiling and you see otherworldly writing on it, right? And it's writing. You know it's writing, but you don't know what it is in this conscious vessel. But a part of you does, which is why they're sending it through. Go watch the movie Deja Vu, where they showed that it was ability that they had in this technology to send a message through time and space.
Oh my God,
Right?
Faise, I have a whole notebook full of drawings that came from that very thing you talking about right now, bro. Oh my freaking God. I'm sorry. Bro,
Now
this
you
is
all good.
crazy.
And another thing, so that was the writing on the wall. Told you about the shuttering. That's when you wake up and you see writing or numbers on your wall or on your ceiling. You try to look away, you look back, it's still there. That's a message. Okay? Take it or leave it. If you've been having deja vu 5 times in a row, meaning you know that this is the 5th time you've seen it, okay, they talking to you. So why would they be talking to you? Some of y'all, they trying to get in touch with your children. It's not even about you, right? Go watch the movie Knowing. Some of y'all, they just trying, they see something in your child, right? And your child isn't touched by the harlot, which means that genetics are not ruptured or their core isn't ruptured. They're not core ruptured, right? They need your child. This is all about Project Save Man. You know what I mean? It'll happen. It's not going to happen on the news. They're not going to do it and say, hey, you're not going to see no extraterrestrial come on and put on no suit and no tie, say, hey, we're coming to get your children or we're coming to get you. It's going to happen in the shadows. No one's going to know this occurred. So what's going to happen is years from now, you'll be in 2031 and people are going to be speaking about how, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm still the chosen. They don't know the wave would have been passed. I'm just putting it out there. This is how it can happen. They wouldn't have known that the same chosen that they're speaking that they're part of has already been taken away.
Yeah.
So
That's
why
the
do you
set
think they would be
apart
taking the chosen
spirit.
away though? Why would they be? What are they
Oh, well,
using it?
to destroy your plane. Okay, so this is going to happen naturally, first of all. All right, there are a few different ways it can happen. The human beings here were going to do it way back in like 1945 when they decided that they were going to experiment with those bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That would have been done, but there was an intervention that took place where you started to see a pickup on the extraterrestrial sightings because of that. Human beings would have destroyed themselves a long time ago if it wasn't for that intervention, which led to your Antarctic Treaty and all that stuff. The poles were already weakening because there's supposed to be a pole shift, which they delayed, all right, because it's supposed to occur every 380,000 to 500,000 years, but there's been an extra 280 some thousand years added onto that. You're overdue for a pole shift, which is what I was about to explain earlier. The magnetosphere is deteriorating, which is why you're seeing the aurora called the northern lights in the south, because those places where the magnetosphere would have been strong, right, because they're weaker, those charged particles, the CMEs, are able to penetrate, and that's what causes these lights. So the poles are already shifting, and when poles shift, certain things happen. Your planet will swallow you up, your civilizations, or the sun will destroy this world by fire, meaning it'll start with the destruction of the transformers. And if that happens for anywhere between 1 day to 3 days, it's not that no meteorites need to kill the people. People are going to kill each other. You understand? Wars going to break out amongst human beings. Anarchy, civil unrest, dystopia. It'll happen in a matter of days when those transformers go out. If those transformers go out. The last time that happened, I think it was 1859. They had something called the Carrington event, but it wasn't as much electricity, right, that it is now. It wasn't as much dependency on technology that it is now. But if it happens now, right, they don't tell you about this, but back in that time period, there were even things catching fire because of the disruption or the disruptions in the atmosphere, right, with those solar flares and radiation. So I'll leave you with this. The reason why they would take you or the children away is the same reason why they told Lot to go to the mountains, to destroy what's here, wipe this out, and start anew. You understand? If they wanted to destroy all the human beings, the moment that they started playing with the weapons of the gods, they would have just wiped y'all out. But they didn't want to destroy all human beings. And again, time to us is different. So they've been trying to get these people to right themselves since 1945. They actually sent a few people on a mission, which became the Roswell incident, and there was another accompanied mission in Aztec Hotel, I think it was New Mexico, which had like 16 brothers that came through, but they shot them down. They took the technology, and that caused, issues. Dwight Eisenhower was making deals with certain Rumardian beings like Krill. But the whole point is they don't want to. God, I'll say it like that. Keep it simple. God doesn't want to destroy his creation, right? But if he does, it'll be by fire. And if it'll be because he has to destroy the destroyers of the earth. Go read Revelation. They said they're going to destroy the destroyers of the earth. Why do they put that in there? They don't want to destroy you, but they need earth. Earth is a resource. Go watch the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. They said if the planet dies, everything on it dies. But if human beings who are destroying the earth die, the planet lives and everything on it lives. They don't need this creation. If it becomes too mutinous, they just get rid of it, right? Save the few and then try to start over. So watch the movie knowing in the end, they took them to another planet, right? Which was a new heaven and a new earth. And you saw them dressed in all white, right? They had rabbits and they were running to the tree in the midst of the garden again. This isn't the first time it happened. So this ain't no fear. It only feel fearful. If you feel afraid right now, it's because you haven't ascended already. That's why they said it's going to be a great and dreadful day. Some of us is just grateful about it. I'm grateful because I've seen dreams where I was here when the planet was destroyed. I died in the fire, and I've seen dreams where I was taken off. And I'm telling you like this, however that happens, I know that whatever judgment takes place beyond us, right, it's a righteous judgment that I have nothing to do with. So I have no issue with whether or not I'm going to be here or not going to be here. My thing is to put out these calls through my music, whatever I do, to remind people that what you're experiencing in your dream realm, sleep incubation, your inclinations, I want to be more spiritual, all of this is a part of the plan. We're just waking you up. And then you decide based off your actions. If we say you have to wear all white, I'll leave you with this. If it's an all white party and you show up in black, you're not going. Simple. So if you have to wear all white, adorn yourself in the garb of righteousness, prepare yourself for the wedding of the Lamb, and we say it's an all white affair, there will be no, oh, I was going to get my white. If we say you can't be full of meat, you can't be full of toxins, you can't be full of this, your brain has to be able to function this way, you can't be dependent on dopamine releases, whatever they say, whatever, I'm not in control of it. Whatever it would be, you will have no more time to delay when that hour is up and you're in the hour. Know that a lot of people didn't know when the hour would come. You're in that hour. This is the hour. When that hour is up, there will be no delay. You're headed to a very powerful solstice, right? There's another planetary alignment around the corner. You understand? The blue light movement is here. It's all about purity. Okay? Get yourself in order. Have no fear and just relax with the reality of this judgment is already going to be passed.
Right.
You won't stop. The one thing they said in the Quran, they said when it's time for us to come through, no one can delay it and no one can bring it sooner. So there's nothing going to be, you can't stop Jabril and them. They're going to do their job. You
Right.
understand? It's just, where will you be when we pull up?
I just want to be in the right
I'm gonna tell
place.
some
I
of
got
y'all.
to think about my kids. I just be thinking about my kids. I just need them to.
I'm gonna tell some of y'all. I'm gonna tell some of y'all this, and then I'm gonna end the live. I'm gonna start with the vision that I had, and then I had the vision or the dream. It was really a dream, and it really didn't feel like a dream. It felt as real as me talking to you guys right now. I was taken up, and I saw myself running through these white curtains, right? And I go out, and I try to get out of the curtains, and I look. There was like a little passageway, and on the other side, I saw more white curtains. And I was like, oh, my God, which way do I go? I looked down one aspect of the hallway of all these big curtains, and I saw space. I saw nothing but space. I could see everything in space, you know what I'm saying? Quarks, quasars, planets, you know, asteroids and all of that stuff, right? And then I looked the other way. I looked to my left, and I saw nothing but bright light, so bright that I couldn't even look that way. So I stood still trying to figure out what should I do. And all of a sudden I heard all these voices. I heard a lot of voices, different voices, you know what I'm saying, of different beings and things of that nature. But also I could hear human voices too, you know, and I heard the voices coming from high above me, right? And so I peek out of the curtains and I look up and I realize that I'm not in curtains. These weren't curtains. I was in the robe of a being, and there were a multitude of beings all around. And all of these beings stood as tall as the trees, taller than the trees, right? And I'm looking up at the beings, right? And they were humanoid, but yet some of them had different faces than humans. Some had animal faces. Some had faces I ain't never seen before. Some had human faces, right? All different types of faces, right? And I couldn't make out everything that they were saying, but based off of the humans talking, I could realize to what they were saying, right? And they were saying, well, who's going to go? Who's going to go? And they were all having a dialogue just to figure out who was going to be the one to go, you know? And then all of a sudden it got quiet. It got so quiet, man. You know how it gets so quiet that you feel like you breathing too loud? You know what I'm saying? It just got that quiet.
Right.
And then all of a sudden everybody stood still. Everything just stood still. So I'm worried, and I go back inside of the robes, right? And I'm peeking out to just kind of figure out what's going on. I don't want to be seen. You see, I feel like like I'm in a space where I didn't want to be seen, right? And all of a sudden, all the space began to clamor. All the space began to make this violent vibrations, right? And I'm peeking out, looking at the space, and I'm seeing all of the things in space begin to coalesce, right? And it all coalesced into one thing. It coalesced into one being, to this one being. And this being contained all of the stars and the planets. All of it was inside of its body, right? And this being was adorned with with this elaborate jewelry, all different types of jewelry and every kind of stone and everything that you could think of. It was just on it, and it was shiny, right? And it began to walk towards my direction. And I'm like, oh my God, let me hide myself. I hid myself again, right? And it's walking my way, and then all of these beings kneel. On both sides, these beings begin to kneel down, right? And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? And as it gets closer to me, right, I could feel the power just being exuded from the being, right? So much power being exuded from the being that when it began to walk by me, my direction, like I felt like I would have been flung into the uttermost parts of wherever I was. But I was holding on to the robe of one of these beings so that it didn't just cast me off to wherever, right? It just didn't cast me off into wherever. But as it walked by, I could hear every piece of jewelry that this being was adorned with. Was one ring might have been saying you are worthy, another one saying, you know, how great you are, another one, and each stone, each thing on its body, each thing on its body was just saying, giving a level of praise, giving just everything. It was just so much, and it was just exuding this power off of its body, just exuding this power off of its body. You see what I'm saying? And it began to walk towards the light, right? And then as it went by, and I could, and the force of it just wasn't throwing me back. I could look towards the light, and I could see it walking towards the light, and I'm peeking out the curtain and I'm watching it, right? And it walks towards the light, right? And when it gets near the light, this being begins to pull off the jewelry. And as he begins to pull off, say, just the pinky ring, it was so much agony that it was going through with pulling off the pinky ring that everybody that was in the room began to cry out. Every being in the room began to cry in pain. They began to cry. And it felt like I was there for an eternity. Literally, it felt like I was there for an eternity. watching this being pull and go through agonizing pain as it pulled off each ring, and it pulled off each thing, it pulled off each chain, as it was going through all of it, taking off and stripping itself of all of these jewels, right? Pulling it off of itself. And it sat all of this big pile of all of this jewelry right there. It just sat it all there. And when it sat it there, the ring did, when he took it off, the ring didn't make the sound. I didn't hear the ring saying the things that it was saying. He just left it there, right? And after it did that, the being got up and it jumped right back into space. It jumped right back into space, right? And I woke up. And then the reason why this came back to me, this vision even came back to me again, is because of what I'm hearing Faise talk about right now. The chosen. I feel like each one of us is like an adornment. We're like one of those adornments. You see what I'm saying? That make up all these aspects of this. You see what I'm saying? And this dream was so powerful. I know the full interpretation of this dream, but I just wanted to share the vision to you of this dream. And it was a very powerful one. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, many of us have been taken up. We've seen things. You see, we've seen things. Many of you have seen things. And if you don't hold on to those visions that you've seen, if they're not as real as this life is to you, if you haven't really walked in a space to where you've seen something beyond this world, right? Beyond this plane, right? Of what you call existence. If you haven't seen something higher, if you haven't seen yourself from a higher perspective, you understand? Then maybe some of the stuff that we've been talking about, it just might miss you. It just might miss you. You'll listen to certain people. Their whole life is a mockery. Their whole life is a mockery of the divine. They walk in profanity. They walk in ignorance, right? They can't perceive the higher things, right? They're a living testament, right? They will be the footstools, right? Because they haven't taken these visions into heart, right? It hasn't engulfed their minds. You see what I'm saying? So for some of you, I'm going to tell you, hold tight to those revelations. Hold tight to those visions, right? What you have seen is true. What you have placed in your heart, it is real, right? But I promise you this, the wicked will have their place, just like the righteous will have theirs.
Thanks.
Some of us are too grown. You're too grown to be playing childish games. You're too grown to sound so adolescent. You see? But at the end of the day, the righteous will have their reward, and so will the wicked. You know? Guys, I want to thank you guys for listening, to everybody that's been on the panel. Faise, I thank you. Goddesses, I thank you. You know, if you guys didn't catch the live, go back and watch it. If you missed the live before that, when we started off talking about demons and things of that nature, go back and watch it. Anybody who's a follower of mine, make sure you follow everybody on the panel. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to call people followers. I even hate that word, followers. You know what I'm saying? They should have just called it friends. You know what I mean? But if you're a friend of mine, make sure you follow everyone on the panel. You know what I'm saying? So I wish you all Godspeed. You know, I hope that you guys all have a wonderful evening. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that before you lay it down to sleep, give thanks.
Ashley.
Give thanks. Ashley. Give thanks. You guys want to say any last words before we close this out?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to get up here. It was nice meeting everybody.
It was nice meeting everybody. Y'all talk to you guys. And y'all have a great.
Yes, ma'am. Mojo Mama?
I'm hearing an echo,
I'm
but
hearing an echo, but
thank you so much for having me.
So much for having me.
I'm looking forward to build
I'm looking
more
forward to
and
build
stay
more
grounded in
and
yourself.
stay grounded in
Know
yourself.
that everything
Know that everything
will come as you get more
will come as you
clarity.
get more clarity.
Yes, guys, and center yourself around the righteous. Get yourself around the righteous. Make sure that you are upright. Make sure that your heart is in the right space. That's all that I ask of you all. Nothing more, nothing less. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get through this thing. We're gonna get through it together. I'll see you guys later.
Yes. Have a great
Yes.
night, everyone.
Have a great night.